So, this is probably one of the biggest topics that I come in contact with a lot of my clients. And one of the biggest pieces of homework that I give out is to do an emotional release. So, a lot of things can get stuck in our physical body and in our energetic body, our emotional body, all these layers to ourself, okay? But one of the biggest things is emotions. And that manifests in so many different ways. It can manifest in extra weight on the body. The stomach is the emotional brain of the body. And so when we eat for comfort, it's because we're trying to numb our emotions, because there's stuck emotions in the body. It can manifest as stress, as anxiety, as tension in the shoulders and neck. It can manifest as really so many injuries. If you ever think of disease, it's dis-ease. It's the fact that you are not at ease. And what makes us not at ease is when we carry things from our past. Traumatic memories, all the things that us as healers or as aware human beings we try to work on are all linked to our emotions. All of our traumatic memories, okay, there's, for example, a practice that you can do called mind yoga, which I'll make another video on that, of how you can literally shift a traumatic memory and change it in order to no longer carry the trauma of that. But what you're actually doing is you are dissolving the emotional reaction to the memory. Okay, so everything is emotions. And that is a really interesting topic, mind yoga. But check out my mind yoga video, okay? So, but my point is that carrying stuck emotions in our body is one of the biggest culprits of all negativity in life, of our physical health negativity, our day-to-day emotional response negativity, just the us not being able to enjoy life on all the levels, physical, emotional, energetic, mental, is most of the time the root is an emotional block, an emotion that has been stuck in the body from either maybe last week, last month, last year, last lifetime, or childhood. And so we can actually move these, and we can move them so easily. So when people come to me for either holistic therapy, for a friend of advice, like wants advice, for an energy healing, a psychic reading, any of these things, a lot, not even a lot, 100% of the time, there is an emotion that is stuck in the energetic field, in the physical body, in their reality that is negatively affecting them. Almost every single energy cleanse that I do, I have to tell the person to do an emotional release. I would say for that, it's probably about 60 to 65% of the people, okay? Because some people, they know already and they're working on it. We're all just constantly works in progress, which is beautiful. It's what we're supposed to be. So, but anyways, my point, it was a long intro. Here we go. So what happens is, say, as an example, in my childhood, I didn't feel like my dad was around a lot. I'm just making an example. And say that made me feel unloved. But deeper than that, it made me feel angry. It made me feel confused. Why was he not there? I'm angry that he wasn't there. I'm angry at myself. I feel like something must have been wrong with me. And then it's like, and then that can cause just layers of physical symptoms, comfort eating, literal what is it called? IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome, like all of these like physical actual diseases can then manifest from this experience, right? And so eventually what happens is we carry that anger for our whole lives because we don't even realize it's there. Anger is a really tricky one because 9 times out of 10, when I am in a session with somebody and I am recognizing that they have anger energetically stuck to them, and I tell them, their answer is, so crazy, I don't feel any anger. So crazy, that doesn't resonate. There's no anger here. And then maybe in a year's time, we revisit that conversation because the anger is coming up and they're like bubbling over and they're like, I don't know, it's just so present. What do I do with it? Where did it come from? And then we dive into the childhood and things like this. And so what happens with anger is we numb it. It is so sad how we are taught by every culture that I have experienced, which has been a lot, I'm lucky to say. suppresses anger. Men and women are both taught they are not allowed to feel anger. We are taught that it's bad, that it makes us a bad person, that it will scare people, it will scare us, it'll scare our loved ones, we will lose our friends, we will lose our family. All of these awful, scary things we are taught, sometimes even just subconsciously, that will happen if we express our anger. However, every single emotion was given to us. We have all of these emotions. We have anger, sadness, grief, joy, pleasure, ecstasy. We have all of them. They are all of equal importance, of equal value. We are not meant to only experience some and not the others. And we couldn't if we tried. We couldn't stay on one end of the spectrum and just be in the positive emotions, even if we tried, okay? So you are human for experiencing all of the heavier emotions. There is nothing wrong with you. They are meant to be there. In fact, they are probably already there. And what happens if we honor them? What happens if our rage becomes sacred? What happens if our sadness becomes a gift from the universe? What happens if our tears are gifts from God, God's, whatever you want to call it, the universe? And it is, right? Like, we suppress our tears because we feel embarrassed by them. I would love to normalize crying in public, crying by yourself in public, because think about that. The energy and the physical body are connected, okay? If you know anything about astrology, the moon rules our emotions and our physical body. It is not because those two things are separate. It is because those two things are the same. Our language sometimes separates concepts that are actually go together, so sit with that. But when we feel sadness, we start to instantly have a physical reaction, right? It's like it starts to swell in our stomach, our chest starts to get tight, our throat starts to get tight, and then it's like we're almost trying to resist it, but then it's just like water comes out of our eyes. But what happens after you have a good cry? Have you ever heard, maybe you haven't experienced this, but have you ever heard anybody talk about like, oh yeah, but I just had a good cry and I felt so much better? The physical body was designed to give us relief, to help us release our emotions. So what happens is we experience something in life, and that creates an emotional response. And emotions are energy. Our physical body is energy. So that energy is created in the body, and it needs to be released. And it needs to be, the only way to release it is by recognizing it, allowing it to move. And so what we do is we create a space for it. And this is what an emotional release is, okay? A lot of times, when I am prescribing an emotional release to a client, it is for an anger and or a sadness release. And you can do them both at the same time. You can do a joy release. You can do anything you want, you need. When you feel that energy moving, sometimes when you get really excited and sometimes you just want to shake your body, that is an emotional release. You are not losing anything. You are allowing the physical to work with the emotional creates a seamless, incredible experience. And these are tears. This is crying. Crying is this natural emotional release. It is a really great example of one. And so I hope that you never feel ashamed of your tears. And if anything, you're like, yes, thank God, I'm going to feel so much better after this. And then maybe when you have yourself a really good cry and then you're tired afterwards, that's when you it's like you worked out, you moved energy, you released energy that was stuck in your body. And now it will never be there again. It will never be stuck, okay? I mean, maybe something else will cause you sadness, but if we face the trauma that we are carrying in our lives and we allow space for them, that moves, that leaves us forever. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so let's talk about the emotional release, right? So this is how you do it. It's honestly a lot of fun. The hardest part of an emotional release, yes, I did just say that. It is literally a lot of fun, even if it's an anger release. I swear to you, they've become my favorite things. I can't wait for them sometimes. Anyways, reeling it back in, Heather. So the hardest part of an emotional release is deciding to do your first emotional release. Let me say that one more time. The hardest part ever of all of your emotional releases in your entire life will be that very first time you finally let yourself do it, okay? It will only get easier, and then you'll be like me and you'll be jumping from joy out of scheduling an emotional release into your life. Anyways, so what happens is you just walk around and you're just very irritable. Or, you're just pissed off at somebody and you don't even know why. You're like, why am I so angry? Or why do I feel so sad? Who knows? But we're going to find out, okay? So then you're like, okay, usually I like to do it in my room. You can do wherever you want, wherever you feel safe, and usually alone, especially in the beginning. Eventually, it is one of the most incredible bonding, loving experiences to do emotional releases with people. I've done them in retreats with all women. I've done them with a partner in a conscious relationship. Mind-blowingly heart-opening and connecting to witness other people in their anger and rage and sadness, and to be witnessed in your anger, rage, and sadness. But let's baby step it, okay? Most of the time, even now, I still prefer to do them alone, okay? Because that's when you can really just be comfortable and do your thing, right? So pick your safe space. Number one, I like my room. I usually like the blinds and the curtains closed. I like to know that no one's home. I like to have endless amounts of time because I'm probably going to want to sleep afterwards or watch a movie or like rest afterwards. And I like to do it with my bed because I like to sometimes punch the bed, punch the pillow, get on the bed and you're like, punching. I like to scream into pillows. I like to have a speaker and a phone near me so I can put on some angry music, some sad music, whatever helps you in that moment. I've done emotional releases where I have neighbors right next to me, and I know my neighbors, we love each other. I've done energy healing sessions for her and prescribed her emotional releases. So she was well aware of what I'm doing. But one time she was like, "Oh, I heard you doing your anger release. Great job." It's, we can love and support each other in these things, okay? And if you feel afraid to not be loved and supported, then don't tell anybody. Go do it on your own. Just see how it feels. Just try it. Again, the hardest part is starting the first time. But if you can get yourself to just try it once, you will be mind blown. And there is no right or wrong way to do an emotional release, okay? But so here, this is what we're gonna do. Ready? We're set up the safe space, right? You do it alone, you do it no one's home, you're in your room, you have a safe space. Because if we don't create these safe spaces, then we accidentally yell at somebody because it just bursts because we're trying to bottle it up. But what if we didn't bottle it? What if we gave it a place to move, okay? So if I'm doing an anger release, I usually like the bed, scream, shout, all these things. So let's stick with my example of, that I was saying, like childhood trauma of like dad not being around, and I have this anger, and so I'm walking around it with it, and I'm irritable, and I'm kind of yelling at people every once in a while, or I'm just feeling so angry and stressed, and for some reason, like I keep seeing my dad in my mind, but I don't know why. This example comes with the fact that usually we don't always know what trauma we're carrying, right? We don't always know where the anger or the sadness came from. And you don't need to have it all dissected. It will dissect itself in the process, okay? And this is a safe space. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. It is going to be extremely rewarding, life-changing. Every single emotional release you do will be life-changing, I swear to you. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to start laying down on your bed. And you're just going to feel into whatever emotion is there. We're not trying to run from it. We're not trying to push it away. We're not trying to change it. We're not trying to be mad at it for existing. Remember that every physical, emotion, energetic experience in the body is a part of you. And there's a deeper question there. What is your relationship with yourself? Do you love yourself, or do you hate yourself, or are you mad at yourself, okay? And really we want to practice in this experience, and I would encourage in life in general to love ourselves, to be gentle to ourselves, to be kind to ourselves for whatever reason you're feeling angry or sad. And that's tough. That sucks to feel that way. And there's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way. And can we just like hold ourselves for a moment and like love ourselves and be like, oh, you're going through it right now. Let's start there. Lay in your bed. You're starting to really just like cultivate some self-love, some sympathy for yourself. We're not in victimhood, we're in sympathy. We're doing something about it. We're in the action, okay? And this emotional release is not timed. We are not trying to rush it, okay? Give yourself, you deserve the time and the space to heal this. You could take 20, 30 minutes, you could take a couple hours, and you could heal so much pain from your childhood in just that one experience, so much pain from a broken heart in just that one experience, okay? Like I still remember I remember almost every emotional release because that's how life-changing it was. So give yourself the time and space. You deserve it. And then you're just being sympathetic with yourself and giving yourself some love. And then close your eyes, breathing and just relaxing. And start to focus on any physical sensation that's in the body and just kind of go into it. And there might be multiple, okay? That's fine. We're not going to, ignore. We're going to do one at a time. So just whichever one feels the biggest at the moment. And there's no right or wrong answer, okay? So you choose whatever is the biggest one. And I like to kind of sometimes, depending on the situation, throw in IFS with an emotional release. With IFS is internal family systems, or is it internal family structures? I don't know. My brain's in this right now, not there. But it's a misleading name. The point is it's kind of like, if you've ever seen the movie Inside Out. If you haven't, it's okay. The point is that each of our emotions almost have like their own, like if we can personify them, or each physical response in our body one at a time, it really helps us to navigate them. So let me just explain. So you've got your eyes closed, you're breathing, you're feeling into your body. Maybe you're having multiple physical sensations at a time. No problem. We're going to go one at a time, whichever one's the biggest at the moment. You're going to go into that and you're just going to start to hold it and breathe into it, just giving it space. Who are you? What are you? Why are you here? What do you look like? Maybe you start to see it and it looks like a squiggly black circle just going in every direction, and it's just moving and moving, and start to personify it. Start to know that it's a part of you and be like, hi, I love you. I see you. Oh, wow. You feel like anxiety and stress, and it's just moving in your mind and how you're imagining it, how it feels. And you're just like, wow, that seems exhausting. Usually we want to ask this part of ourselves, what's your job? And then usually, you'll start to just intuit. You'll kind of understand. It will come to you. It'll come to you in your thoughts. And you'll be like, oh, it kind of feels like it's anxiety. Okay, well, anxiety is its job. Or, oh, I don't really understand. It feels like it's trying to distract me. Or maybe it says to you, oh, I'm trying to keep something safe. And you're like, you might not understand. That's okay. Keep asking questions. What are you trying to keep safe? What are you trying to distract me from? Why are you trying to distract me? Keep asking it questions and having this conversation with this part of yourself that is very much alive. It's an energy, okay? So you're breathing into it. You're having this conversation. And eventually it's going to tell you what its job is. Say its job is anxiety, and it is trying to keep you super busy so that you don't have to feel the maybe more pain that's below it, the other parts of you that you were feeling originally. And you're like, wow, that sounds like a tough job. How long have you been doing that? Well, it's been doing that since, and all of a sudden you feel like 4. And you're like, wow, since you were 4? Crazy. Well, 4-year-old anxiety part of me, do you know that I'm now 32? That I've grown so much? It probably doesn't know that you're 32. And you can start to tell it, I can breathe now. I can regulate. I can handle the painful emotions below. I can rest. Would you like to rest? What do you need? And you ask it. That's the other question you want to ask it. What's its job? Why is it there? What does it need? 9 times out of 10, it's going to tell you it needs rest. And you're going to be like, amazing. Now that you know that 32-year-old Heather is in charge. And you could also do the practice of bringing your higher self down into this situation with you. Kind of bring her, he, she, they, them, that higher self of yours with you, and be like, my higher self and 32-year-old Heather are running my life now. It's okay. You don't have to anymore, 4-year-old anxiety version of me. You'd like to rest. Let's let you rest. Where would you like to rest? What could be the best experience of rest for you? Maybe maybe you just feel like you want to put it at a cozy cabin in the woods with blankets and a fireplace. Maybe a beautiful sunny garden. Wherever it wants to rest, put it there and allow it to be there, and just breathe into it and keep allowing it to be there, okay? And then you go on to the next most prominent part of your energy. And then maybe you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel anger. Oh, okay, the anger is the next one. Hi, anger, how are you? And we go through the same steps. What does that anger look like? why is that anger there? What's its job? What does it need? And usually it needs rest. And so we kind of take it through the same process. Sometimes too, when you're first working with anxiety, or whichever part is strongest for you in that moment, that emotional release, anger starts to like distract you, and you're like, oh, I'm feeling anger and anxiety. And you're like, okay, maybe anger's feeling bigger right now. And you tell anxiety, hey, anxiety, I'm coming right back, but I'm going to sit with anger now. And there's a couple things going on here. So usually then the emotional release part of it too is like, then, okay, maybe anxiety was there, I breathe into it, and then I come to the anger. And then the anger's like, and I'm like, why are you there, anger? Like, what's your job? And it's just like, I'm just so mad. Everybody always told me what to do, and nobody was ever there for me, and nobody felt like they loved me, and rah. And then we want to like feel into that. We want to start to embody that. And you can embody the anxiety too, but pick or choose. Sometimes I need to embody anxiety, and I need to like do some literal physical exercise and get my heart rate up, and that helps me move the anxiety. For anger, sometimes it's like, I need to like feel how mad I am at my dad. I need to feel how betrayed and how alone I felt. And I need to scream. And I need to punch my pillow and cry. And then sadness starts to come. And maybe we're not quite in the mind as much, or we're asking the questions, why are you here? What do you need? And that's okay. Allow the process to guide you. Allow it to be anything. It doesn't need to be structured. We can come back to those questions. Or maybe I'm just going to have a big anger and sadness release, and then I'm going to be exhausted afterwards, and I'm going to feel, but it feels so good. After you move sadness and anger, this is what happens. Your whole chest and stomach and physical body just feels like it's opened. Like it feels like you can finally breathe. It feels like all of this clogged energy and weight is gone. You can feel spaciousness. It literally feels like tingling and energy moving and nourishment. And yes, you're tired because it's like you just ran a marathon, but it feels incredible. And that will be the best nap of your life. That will be the best sleep of your life. You will wake up after that and you will literally be like, holy shit, I'm the coolest person ever. That was the coolest thing ever. Life's amazing. I have so much space inside me. I have so much energy. I have so much understanding. And as we do these emotional responses, usually I recommend, as we're moving through them, that to kind of bring yourself to some sort of understanding towards the end of the release that nobody ever did anything wrong. In the example of my dad, he was just doing the best that he could based on his circumstance. And I'm just using this as a fictitious example, and holding myself and knowing that I never did anything wrong, even though sometimes that can be the response. We're like, oh, I didn't receive love. Obviously, I'm awful. Obviously, I did this thing wrong. No, hold that version of yourself. Also, in these emotional releases, another thing that can happen is that you can meet a younger version of yourself. And maybe at first you don't recognize it, but maybe you're starting to like curl up like a child in fetal position, or you're just starting to feel like a child. That is a good sign that you are meeting a younger version of yourself. And so ask yourself, in these memories or in this moment, how old do you feel? How old does that part of you feel? And then imagine that version of you, that 8-year-old version of you, standing in front of you, and hold her, bring her into your arms and hold her. Ask her, what does she need? What has she gone through? How does she feel? Does she know that you're 32 now and you're okay, you're safe, you're loved by all these other people, and that your dad does love you, and that he was trying his best, and that you should love you, and that you're amazing and you did your best and there's nothing wrong with you? Hold that version of you, love her, reintegrate her. Let her rest, just like we did with anxiety. Give her all that time and space. Let her cry. Hold each other and cry together. Hold each other in rage together. And then breathe and love each other. Tell her how much you love her. And let her tell you how much she loves you. Okay? Let it go both ways. Let that conversation really go both ways. Imagine yourself as that 8-year-old version holding your 32-year-old self, and tell her, I love you so much. You've done so much for me. You've gone through so much. I see you. Normally, these different emotions, these different younger version parts of us, they just want to be seen. They just want to be witnessed. In the example of the dad, it's like that little girl never got witnessed for her pain and her sadness for feeling alone. All they want is to be witnessed and seen. So when you give them space, when you do an emotional release, that is literally what we're doing. We're witnessing them. We're seeing that parts of ourselves. We're letting them be free. We're no longer stuffing them down and numbing them and telling them that they're not allowed to be there and they're not supposed to be there. And watch your reality change. Watch your whole life change. Watch that moment that you want to eat comfort food or you want to indulge in that numbing activity. Watch those become less and less and fewer and more far between, just naturally. It's such a wonderful practice. It is my favorite practice. I do it all the time. A lot of times I'll just be irritable or sad or just in the mood, and I'll just be like, I have no idea why. A great way to figure out why is to just take some time to do a release. You don't have to know what trauma, why you feel that way, what emotion you feel. You don't have to know anything to do it. That's actually one of the biggest benefits, is to just go and take time and space and feel and witness how you feel and just give yourself space. Sometimes I'm just anxious and I just need to lay in bed and be like, grab a pillow and squeeze it and just be like, just let myself feel anxiety. Sometimes I'm going to sleep and I can't because I just feel uncomfortable on the inside, and I just let myself feel that discomfort, and then I fall asleep like a baby. So it can be any emotion, and you don't have to do all these things. You don't have to do the crying and the screaming in the pillow mixed with the IFS and talking to your different emotional experiences and mixed with the inner child and holding them. You can do one of them. You can do all of them. You can do none of them. Let your own intuition guide you. Let your own emotions and body guide you, okay? These are just different things that I've witnessed myself doing. But again, two things I want to mention before we wrap this up. One is that with IFS, with this practice of trying to compartmentalize, or not compartmentalize isn't the right word, but witnessing our emotions as they come up, anxiety and anger and things, a lot of times what happens is judgment comes up. And it's, again, one of our emotions. It's a part of us. There's nothing wrong with it, but it comes up and we almost mistake it for ourselves. And it's like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. Why would you do this anger release? You look ridiculous. Why do you have anxiety? How rude. Da, 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 da. So normal. So normal. So what you're going to do is you're just going to pause, and whatever emotion you were just talking to, anxiety, anger, it doesn't have to be an emotion. It could be a tornado inside of you and you don't even know how to label it. Whatever you're just working with, pause for a moment. And let's talk to judgment. You say, judgment, hey, what's up? Nice to see you. Like, I love you. I see that you're here. What you want to do with judgment, and sometimes it's fear too, is just be like, hey, I hear you. I see you. I want to ask you, would you mind just stepping aside for a moment? Would you mind just coming over here and allowing me to do these things? I don't want to get rid of you. I don't want to punish you or push you away. I just want you to come over here and just be off to the sidelines for a moment while I talk to these other ones. And then I'm going to bring you back at the end, okay? No problem. I'll bring you back. And then once you really feel like you're done working with these different parts of yourself, bring judgment back and show it. Look, judgment, look what I did. Look how I put these different parts to me and gave them rest and dissolve this emotional baggage that I was carrying. Now what do you think? I bet you judgment's going to be like, well, that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. And no longer stopping you and blocking you, okay? And the same with fear. The other thing I would say about the IFS practice is a lot of times it's talked about as like a two-step thing where you have a protector and you have like a wounded part of you. So, and this can go on. This can go from layer to layer to layer, okay? So like maybe in my anxiety, for my original example, it's like, okay, maybe I'm feeling the anxiety, and anxiety actually tells me that its job is that it's protecting this little version of me that was hurt when she was 8 years old and she's in pain. And maybe I try to imagine what she would look like, and she's like trapped in a box, in a cage, in a corner because she put herself there, because she felt like she was put there. That's the wounded version of me. The anxiety is the protector. Maybe same thing with anger. I'm talking to anger, and then I realize anger is only in me because it's trying to protect this tiny little version of me that's so scared and afraid. And what an fascinating concept. And it stands true, really, that these parts of us that we can hate or judge or push away, anger, anxiety, sadness, these things, most of the time they're literally protecting us. They're literally protecting a very small, very wounded, very hurt and in pain version of ourselves, child version of ourselves. And if we can cultivate sympathy for these versions of ourselves, these angers, these protectors, when you're talking about anxiety and you're, maybe in the back of your mind, you've been so mad at the fact that you've dealt with anxiety your whole life. But then you sit there and you talk to it for the first time ever and you're like, are you just protecting a part of me? And you've been protecting that part of me for how many years? And you're exhausted. You have been going, anxious, being a protector for 28 years. That sounds exhausting. And to have sympathy for it, to recognize it for what it's really been doing, what it's really been trying to do for us. Okay. And the last thing I'll say before I wrap this up, I know it's a long one, but honestly, it is my biggest practice in life. My most life-changing practice in life, for sure. Sitting with these emotional releases in an intuitive way and using these tools that I've expressed to you today. But the last thing I would say, which I touched on earlier, is that, again, wanting to kind of wrap up this process with some sort of resolution, like knowing that we did not do anything wrong and the people involved did not do anything wrong, which that's a hard concept to wrap our minds around. And that really comes from the idea of that, we have soul contracts and we come into this life and to experience everything that we wanted to experience. That before I was born, I decided that I wanted to have that dad that did those things to me, and he decided that he wanted to be that person and do those things to me, and we had a contract because we wanted to learn things from each other. So if you don't believe in that, no problem, but I would still say to end your practice with something like forgiveness. Okay. And for me, I because of the soul contract concept, I start with forgiveness because I'm human. I need to forgive. And so I'm forgiving that the people involved. Sometimes it's not just my dad. Sometimes it's all the other family members that were involved too in that experience. It feels like it was mainly driven by the father. And then I have to forgive myself and the younger version of myself. And the younger version of myself needs to forgive the older version of myself. And we need to love each other. And then I sit with it a step further and I tell myself it kind of on repeat, kind of like Ho'oponopono, which you can watch my video on that, of just like, there's nothing to forgive, there's nothing to forgive, there's nothing to forgive. I forgive you, there's nothing to forgive. I forgive you, there's nothing to forgive. And releasing it in that energetic way of, I forgive you, it's all released, but also I know that this was all meant to be. And therefore, you didn't do anything wrong and I didn't do anything wrong. But if you can, trying to end the practice in something like that with forgiveness, to really kind of wrap that resolution full circle, especially forgiveness of yourself. Maybe it's a really deep topic and it's going to take a couple emotional releases throughout different points in your life. No problem. Maybe you're not quite ready to forgive the person yet. It might be helpful to try the affirmation and try to see how it feels to forgive them, and then you might go into a whole nother emotional release experience from recognizing, okay, I want to forgive this person. What physical sensations happen in my body when I want to forgive them? And then you start diving into those physical sensations and talking to them and recognizing them and giving them space to move. And it's just a life-changing practice to use that in any way, not just forgiveness, but for everything in our lives. But don't be mad at yourself if this takes more than one release. When I went through a rough breakup, which with an amazing man, but breakups are painful, right? Like I was doing these for like 6 months straight. Not straight, that's a little dramatic, but I did like maybe one a month for like 6 months. And they kind of shifted. Maybe they were sadness, maybe they were anger, maybe they were both. Maybe they were me realizing that I was angry at love, the entity and energy of love, because I was in pain, and then me having to forgive love and have love forgive me, and then reconnect with the energy of love and reconnect with the belief in soulmates. And so just let it guide you, okay? Your body is wise, your emotions are wise, you are wise. You can do this and you can guide yourself. Um, and I really hope this helps. Again, it is one of, if not the most life-changing practice I have ever experienced to this date. If you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them in the comment box below. I send you guys so much love, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.